Hey guys, I hope you are all well. Today I thought I would film a postpartum Q&A. I have done a blog post on this about a month ago. I feel like I didn't cover all of your questions, so I thought I'd just answer a few in a video. I've got a window, Grayson's at preschool, Rufus is having a nap, so I thought it was a perfect time to film. Excuse the hair, just couldn't be bothered today. Okay, let's get straight in there. Is the lack of sleep really as bad as everyone says? I don't want to put you off or terrify you, but yes, yes, it is really as bad as everyone says. I think Rufus was better when he was a newborn at sleeping. Obviously, we're going through a bit of a sleep regression at the moment. He's waking every 2 hours for a feed and sometimes just waking for like an hour and a half randomly in the middle of the night. He naps well in the day, but yes, sleep deprivation does make you feel slightly crazy. I find with me as well, it makes me far more irritable. Like I find things really annoying. Things that I would probably find annoying anyway, but it's kind of like exacerbated. I also find it kind of makes me a bit more emotional, like things that upset me that wouldn't normally upset me if I'm really tired. So I guess you just got to take that in mind when the time comes. Did you feel placenta encapsulation made a difference to how you felt after having Rufus compared to Grayson? Now, this is something I am a massive advocate for now. First of all, I had my placenta encapsulated and made into pills. So I took 2 of those pills 3 times a day religiously until they ran out, which was about 3.5 months, I think. And they made me feel so good. I am convinced it was them. I didn't get that like hormonal dip like the baby blues that you tend to get because of hormone imbalances and stuff. I only had like a couple of like more down days. They weren't anywhere near as bad as they were when I had Grayson. My milk supply was amazing. My energy levels were really good. And I'm convinced that it was the placenta pills, so I'm a massive advocate for those. I'd love to hear how you feel about your postpartum body. I'm currently 28 weeks and feeling like I'll never get my old body back. This is probably quite a difficult subject to talk about because obviously you don't want to talk negatively about postpartum bodies, but like with any kind of change in your body, it's quite difficult to get used to, I suppose. I feel like my stomach is obviously an area at the moment that I know is not going to go back to how it used to look. My abdominal muscles have torn, so I'm in the process of like doing physio to try and get those back together. I've got stretch marks everywhere. Everything's just a bit doughy, you know? And I feel like because I haven't been able to do any exercise, I haven't been able to do that much to like help the process along. I found the second time around though, I'm way more chilled out about it. Like I knew that it was going to take longer to go back to what's normal for me. I don't know, I'm fine with how it is at the moment. I've been doing lots of walking, so I feel like I have lost some of the pregnancy weight. But you know, if I want a bagel, I'm going to eat a bagel. If I want a brownie, I'm going to eat a brownie. And it's just like a slow recovery process that you have to just kind of accept and go with, I suppose. There are always changes that you could make when and as you want to, like what types of food you're eating and whether you're exercising or not. But for me, it's more about like healing over time. So I would say that I don't particularly love how my stomach is right now, but there's other parts of my body that I like much more now than when I was pregnant. Like my legs have slimmed down again to what is normal for me. So yeah, I'm kind of mixed feelings, I guess, but yeah, it's okay. This is a good question. I'd like to know if someone could have made you the perfect postpartum pack, what would it include? The first thing I would probably say, which is completely unrelated to like postpartum recovery and healing, is a vase, because people give you so many flowers when you have a baby and you run out of vases. So it's just a good one. I'd say things like comfy pajamas, baggy jumpers, nice tea bags. I don't know, just things that are gonna make you feel comfortable when you're around the house and spending time at home. Just things that you would normally reach for on a lazy day, I suppose. I would love to know how you feel being separated from Rue. My daughter is 4 months and I dread being apart from her, even though I want time to myself as well. Totally feel this. I feel like I'm sort of ready to have an evening where I go out for dinner without the baby, or like, I don't know, just some time. But then at the same time, I'm like, no, I can't do it. And I feel like whenever I do something, even if it's like nipping down to Tesco's while the baby's napping at home and Steph's in, I'm like, I feel really weird without him, and I don't like being far away from him. It's like such a paternal feeling, I think, that you kind of just, you don't like being away from them. I think it's really natural, but it's a little bit frustrating at the same time, I guess. Postpartum stuff that helped you recover and heal in the first few days/weeks. I didn't really use anything in particular product-wise for like the whole healing process. I just literally stayed in bed for like 4 or 5 days. I think I ventured outside to have dinner one night in the garden, but that was like about as far as I got. Sometimes I'd come down for a cup of tea or something, but I made sure that I was very lucky to have my husband and my mother-in-law both at home for that time. So I just made sure that I really took advantage of that and that I let my body rest as much as it could. So I basically spent the first 4 days in bed with Rufus, and I didn't really do anything. I kind of could see the washing piling up, but I was like, do you know what? Recovery comes first. I think that's where I made the mistake before when I had Grayson, is that I was kind of rushing to kind of get things done, whereas this time I just let my body take its time to heal, kind of thing. Mainly breastfeeding questions. I'm currently breastfeeding my second baby and my daughter is 4 years old. As breastfeeding is so demanding at the moment, I feel guilty that I can't give my daughter the attention she deserves. Did you feel like that with Grayson, and has it got easier since Rufus is slightly older, or is he still feeding just as much? Well, Rufus is currently feeding every 2 hours like a newborn. I think it's to do with the sleep regression and the just growing. So I'm feeding quite a lot. And in the early days, I would say I had a lot more guilt, because when I would be feeding, Grayson would just be watching a cartoon or watching a movie or whatever, because things were taking longer and feeding was taking longer and I was still learning. I kind of just needed him to be distracted by something. I couldn't multitask. And I wasn't that organised mum that had like a box of activities for him to do while I was breastfeeding. So he watched a lot of TV and I felt guilty for it. Yes, I felt very guilty for it. But you know what? It's only like a segment of time, and also kids love watching TV, so he probably thought I was the best mum ever for letting him watch so much TV. But now when I'm feeding Rufus, it tends to be much quicker, so it has got easier. And also Grayson kind of knows what's going on now, and if he needs to or if he wants to, he'll just take himself off to like his toy box and get things out and just play by himself for a bit while I'm feeding. So it has got easier, definitely. Sometimes I find it tricky when Grayson's asking me to do something for him and I can't do it one-handed whilst I'm breastfeeding, but that's about it really. I'd like to know if you think having a positive birth improves the postnatal experience, and if so, how? I definitely think having a positive birth improved my postnatal experience. I just think it was because I was so in awe of my body for like a month afterwards. I was like, I can't believe I just kind of relaxed and it just did what it was meant to do. Like I was just so impressed by my own body and its like efficiency. But I guess that just put me in this really positive and like good headspace, and I felt really empowered by it, and I felt like I wanted to do it again, which is just crazy. But yes, I definitely felt like it made a difference to like my mental well-being, and I just felt like nothing could really take that away from me, and I just felt like I got so much positivity from it. I'd love to know how you're experiencing mum guilt. My son is 13 weeks old, and if I try to take time for myself, I find myself rushing because I feel like I need to be with him, or I feel bad that he's with his dad. I know I should be a bit more selfish, but I'm finding it really hard to let myself relax. I'm not very good at giving any type of advice for that situation, because that is literally me. I feel guilty for anything and everything when I feel like I should be with the children 100%. Even just having a shower for 5 minutes when he's awake, I'm like, oh, this is so selfish, and I'm constantly rushing and constantly feeling guilty. And I think it's just something that comes hand in hand with parenting. I think some mums get it worse than others, some don't get it at all, but I personally get it quite badly. I don't really make time to do anything for myself, which is really bad, and I should, but I feel like I'm only 5 months in and I've got plenty of time to kind of, when he's in more of a regular routine and when he starts taking a bottle, that's my time to like go and do my yoga class or like go for a walk or read a book or something. At the moment, I definitely feel too guilty to do any of that stuff, and I feel like they are both my priority. And when I'm doing something for myself, like I went to go and get my nails done and I just felt so guilty for it. But you know, you kind of have to remember to look after yourself, because if you look after yourself, you're in a better position to look after your children. You need to make sure that your mental health and your physical health and just your like well-being is cared for, because if you take time for yourself, you feel better. You do feel better. You feel guilty, but you feel better. You mentioned you felt great most of the time after giving birth. When you had the seldom hard days, what did you do and what made you feel better? I think when I did have like emotional days or just days where I was feeling hormonal or just down, I think I kind of got to that point in my life where I sort of recognized what that feeling was, and so I wouldn't pin it to anything, and I would just realize that there's nothing I can really do to change it at that point. So I would just have to ride out the feeling, and if I wanted to cry, I would cry, and if I wanted to stay in my pajamas all day, then I would stay in my pajamas all day. I think you kind of just have to be kind to yourself and just ride the feeling and just know that that's not going to last forever. You won't feel like down or sad or emotional or hormonal all the time, so you just have to ride it out. I'd like to know how you juggle being a mum and keeping up with things in the house. I have one baby and I really struggle because he won't take naps unless I push him in the pram or drive him in the car, so I never get any baby free time to catch up with things. The answer to that is that I don't. My washing basket is like ginormous. There's like mess all over the house. The dishwasher's always like half stacked. Everything's always a mess and I'm always behind with everything, but that's just how it is, I think. I don't really know any mums that have new babies or active babies who are on top of all of that stuff. And I think when you're in it, it seems like a really big deal that the washing hasn't been done or the house is a mess, but then I don't know, I just find as soon as you remove yourself from the situation, like if you do go out for a nap walk, like what I do with Rufus, I have to take him out for a walk for him to nap. You kind of get out there and you're like, oh, screw it, who cares? I have a 4-month-old baby and I'm starting to struggle with lack of sleep. What are your thoughts on sleep training, or what have you done with your boys? I don't have any time in the day to nap or catch up on sleep. Any advice would help. I can't really remember exactly what I did with Grayson, but he was so different because he was bottle fed, so he would bottle feed and then go down to sleep. He was generally quite good at night, so I gradually reduced the amount of milk in his bottle and then he just didn't wake up unless he was teething or he was ill or something. But we never really did the whole like controlled crying thing. Not that I remember anyway. With Rufus, I haven't done anything yet. I still feel like he's a little bit small to do any kind of sleep training thing. I think you're meant to wait until at least 6 months. I also feel like it's partly that I don't feel ready to do that yet. As much as I would like some extra sleep, I just feel like if he needs me, then that's my job. It does make things hard because I am really tired most of the time, but that's just what comes with being a mum, I think. I know that there are a few things that you can do to help with sleep. I guess it's all about experimenting because every baby is different as well, so what works for somebody else's baby might not work for yours, so I guess it's just worth reading a bit about it and asking around, I suppose, for some advice. How long after having babies did you feel physically normal again? I guess this is kind of similar to the postpartum body question. With Grayson, it was definitely around 7 or 8 months, I think. I was also able to do like yoga and stuff though, because he was bottle fed, so I could leave him with Steph while I went to do like a yoga workout. This time I definitely noticed at the beginning it took a lot longer for my belly to go down than it did with Grayson. I still looked about 20 weeks pregnant after I'd had him. Like I still looked like I was about 6 months pregnant, and it's definitely taking a lot longer to go down this time. To be honest, I can't really gauge it at the moment. I think I'll probably feel normal after about a year or something, maybe a bit longer. Any thoughts on daytime napping and routines? My little one wants to nap on me, so I don't get much time to myself, although I do love the cuddles. So Rufus only used to nap either on me or in a baby carrier. And we did that for a good 3 to 3.5 months, and he would only really nap on me as well. But then he started getting really heavy, so I was like, oh, I need to do something else because it's also not good for my ripped stomach. And although he was sleeping really well, it was quite uncomfortable for my shoulders and my stomach. So I basically tried napping him in the pram, and that's what we're doing at the moment. So when he is fed and full and tired, I put him down in the pram. I used to have to go on a walk every single time that he wanted a nap, so I would just take him for a couple of walks around the block or up to the park and back or something. I actually have like points in the streets surrounding us where I know that he'll fall asleep because we've done the walk so many times. But now recently, in the last couple of days, I've actually been able to just put him down in the pram and rock him in the hallway, and then he just falls to sleep. I would like to get him to sleep in a cot, but he hates it. He just cries whenever I put him in a cot. It's like he knows. So I think that's probably just going to be something that will naturally progress from going down in the pram to going down in the cot. So I'm not in a rush at the moment because the pram's working for us at the moment. It's not very practical in terms of like you have to go walking and then you've got to walk all the way home, so you don't get that much time, but you get a little bit of time, so that's good. Somebody said, maybe off topic, but I'd love to know everything about the time between your miscarriage and the new pregnancy. I lost our baby in September and have not got pregnant again. I think that's something that I potentially would do a blog post about. It was obviously quite a difficult time for me and I felt like I was going crazy. I felt like I was just this crazy woman that became obsessed with getting pregnant, and I think the problem was, door slamming. The problem was putting so much pressure on it was just making it not happen. But I felt like I went through a lot mentally in that period of time. I think it was 9 months or just over a year or something like that. I've probably like just buried it deep in my brain because it was not a very nice time. But yeah, I think I'll probably go into that at some other point. Sleeping journey. That's just a bit of a joke, to be honest, because we don't really have one. I let Rufus nap in the daytime whenever he is tired. It tends to be one long nap in the morning and then a couple of shorter ones in the afternoon. And then we do a bath with Grayson. We all get in the bath together at about 6 or 6:30, and then it's like bedtime basically. So he has a bedtime and he's always tired for bedtime, 6:30 or 7. But then after that, he'll sleep really well for the first bulk of the night, which is usually the bulk of the night where I'm not asleep because it's like 7 o'clock in the evening. So he'll sleep really well. So he'll go down at like 7 and usually wake up at like 10. And then usually after that, it's every 2 hours from about 12 or 1. And sometimes he'll wake up in the night too. So we don't really have one yet, but I'm hoping that introducing a bottle might help a little bit with that, because I'm hoping it might make him a little bit fuller so he sleeps for longer. Also, I think it's a comfort thing that he uses my boob for comfort, so when he does go into a lighter sleep or when he does wake up, that's what he's searching for and that's what he wants. He might not necessarily be hungry for a feed, but he'll just want to be on my boob. Okay, so I think that's the main bulk of the questions. If I have missed out anything, or if there are any other questions that you would like to know about postpartum related, or like baby related, or just general mum stuff, then do feel free to leave some questions in the comment section. And if there's enough, then I'll do like a part 2 version of this video if you guys are interested in anything like that. And I will see you all soon in my next video. Bye!